Hello and welcome back to our next series of videos on getting up and started running with Node.js. So in this module we'll be dealing with modules. Now modules increase modularity in our code so that we don't have to ever repeat ourselves. One piece of code should be utilized by other modules which are using the same thing. So keep it dry, don't repeat yourself. Okay, so what we'll do in our code now is that we will create an application in which we use one particular JS module imported into another and use the functions of that exported new module. So how to do that? As we dealt with file operations in the previous lesson, we will continue with file operations and we'll create a module that reads, writes, and renames of the file based upon the parameter that are passed to it. So let's begin. So first of all, we'll write a module. Let's create a new module, say 2.js here. Yeah, it's 2.js. And this 2.js will create three functions, read, write, and rename. And we'll export these three functions and use them in our 1.js. So first of all, in order to do some file operations, we need a require, and then we need a function. So first function is a read function. Now it's inside the read, it will accept parameters the file name, and what it will do is that it will call fs.read file, pass this parameter file name, and the callback function. The callback is the error first callback, so first it will have the error if any error occurred during reading, and if not, then it will have the contents. If so we'll check for the error. If there is any error occurred, console.log will print error occurred. Else what we'll do is that we will print the contents of the file that was returned to us, and it should always be in the string format for it to be readable. Similarly, we'll create the write and the rename functions. First write. So what write will do is that write should always accept the file name, and apart from file name it should accept another parameter which is its new content, what to write in that particular file. So while passing write file, we'll pass both of them. It's a new content also. Now these name are variables, they can be anything. And one more thing is that is why I recommended using Visual Studio Code, is because of the intelligence of Node.js that is present in it. So we don't have to sometimes remember all the commands. We can make use of Visual Studio Code. I recommend that. Otherwise, even we can code in a notepad. That's not a problem. Okay, so continue. A write should accept the file name and the new content. And what it will return? It will just return whether there was something error while writing. If there was no error, or written successfully. Similarly, we will have a rename module, rename function. Rename, it will accept file name and new file name. Now this new file name should be passed. This function is rename. It's a rename, it will accept file name and new file name. If it is an error, or it will say renamed successfully. Now the most important part, where we will export these modules so that they can be used by other modules or JS applications. So how we'll do that? There is a global object in module.exports. Now whatever we write to this, we create a new function inside of it which will call this internal function. So we can do module.exports, or simply exports will do. Exports dot create a new read which will call our read. Now the best thing in JavaScript functions is that all the functions are also objects. So read, now this read is a object which will in turn call a function object, this read file name. So we don't need to give the parameters, we'll just give read over here. Similarly for rename and for write and rename. Write and rename. Now we'll save it, we'll come to a 1.js. Now let's utilize, let's see how do we include. So we know we have already used an internal library of fs, so similarly we'll use our local module also. Let's give it a name, our local module, and say that we require. From where do we require? Like in user defined, they have a library, so we just give the name, it's fine. But here we need to give the path of our 2.js. So where it's present in the root directory. So dot slash is a root directory, and then we say .2.js. That's it. Now we can use any of our functions that exported from a local module. Now how do we do that? Before this video may get a little longer, like up to 10 minutes, but it's fine because we need to complete this particular modules thing. What we need to do is that we should get the operation name from the arguments passed along with Node.js when we will run it. So as we saw earlier, it's process.argv. In the array, it will start the actual parameter argument start with 2. So operation comes in 2, and it will always be succeeded by a file name. So this fourth parameter will be the file name. Now just do a switch case operation. Now first case will be read. If the person files writes read as the operation, so what we'll do is that we'll call our local module dot read. Simple. We pass it the file name. We already have the file name. That's it. Great. Similarly, we have case for write. What write also requires a new parameter, new argument apart from the file name, which is the new content, and it is process dot. It will be passed as the next argument, which will be we are 2, 3, and now 4. So, and we will call our local modules. Wow, this local module is really coming in handy for us to do our file operations. Just pass the file name and pass the new content. That's it. No need to do anything. So break it. Another case for rename. Now rename should have a new file name, and it will pass as the next argument, like we pass the content in while writing. Our local module dot rename, and our local module dot rename will pass the file name and the new file name. New file name. We'll give something that is easy to understand. That's it. We can do some error handling, we can do default, but we won't go into that, but because that is JavaScript that you all know. Okay, let's try to run it soon. Okay, so first we will type node1.js. Now we don't see any file apart from 1.js, 2.js. So we'll create a text file, and how do we do that? We have a command of write. Write, what it does is that if the file is already present, it writes the contents to the file. If the file is not present, it creates a file and writes the contents. So we'll create a file, give it like new file content. Now keep watching here, a new file will get created. Whoa, written successfully and new file contents. Okay, we got error. Now this parameter new file contents is the new file that got created. Now this is not a text file and it doesn't have any content. So that was something wrong. Let's give it the normal. How we'll do is that file.txt and the content is. Now if we go and look into this particular file, we'll find blank content. We can write to it later. New file contents as usual. Okay, that's it. Okay, file.txt got created. It has contains new file contents. This has content as undefined because that was by mistakenly created, and we can make use of now node1.js. Read this file.txt. We will get our new file contents and try to rename now. How will we do that? We'll give rename as an operation, the file name, existing file name, file.txt, file new.txt. Okay, it got renamed. See, contents remain same and the file got renamed. Okay, so this is how we do it. In the next module, we'll be dealing with the Node package manager. How do we install the external modules prepared by others? Because in Node, the best feature is the community that is present in the open source. So each time we don't need to write any of the complex code, we can make use of others' code. They are useful. There are like lakhs of modules present out there, so we'll see how to install them, how to use them. That's it. So thank you for this module, and thank you for watching. Please press the like button and subscribe to this for new videos. Thank you.